ready? Yes, sir.
Everybody ready?
Yes.
All right, it is 7:02. The board previously met in closed session. You got your closed session agenda? No, maybe.
I got this.
Okay.
I got it.
Oh,
You
thank
need
you.
it?
Closed session.
Bruce got it.
I got it.
Stole your horses.
With my notes.
I'll give it right back. All right. So the board met in closed session under exception C1, C10, C8, C11, and C2. I would like a call to order the June 14th, 2022 Board of Education meeting. If I can have a roll call, please.
Mr. Riddle?
Present.
Ms. Callahan-Wozniak? Here. Mr. McBride?
Present.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Present.
Ms. Hannah? President Ewing?
Here. So we do have a quorum. I know Ms. Hannah will be joining us any minute. Ms. Leguizamo did let me know that she would not be able to attend tonight's meeting, but we will continue with the agenda. So first up is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I am going to ask Pastor Atwater if you'd be so kind as to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, everybody. I came in late.
Okay.
Should I take this down?
Yeah, just turn it over. That works. All right. So we do have President's Report. It'll be brief. I'm going to welcome you all to our Board of Education meeting. It is summertime and summer school is in session. I've been super excited to see a lot of different things that are happening. There's Juneteenth this weekend, so I encourage you to get out. We have 2 board members that are being honored at our Juneteenth celebration, which will be in Mundelein, and that is our board member, Ms. Hannah. And Ms. Hannah, what is the award that you're receiving?
Living legend.
Living Legend. And Mr. McBride, yours is as well, correct?
Correct.
And so Juneteenth is again, it will be a time of celebration and recognition of where we were in this country and where we are today, and the growth that we've made. So appreciate that. Again, just want to remind everybody, I try to save that. So with that, we have our student board member report, 6B.
Good evening, everyone. As student board member, my voice is important as well as my peers. Our voice and for us speaking up and the courage we do gives more of a level of implementing changes in our school, and that is why I will be sharing my time today with Lindsay Silva and her group to present a study hall project.
Thank you. And if those students are here, if they can come to the front of the room, please. All right, and whenever you guys are ready, you can use that microphone.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Silva,
My name is Jennifer.
and we also had some other group members with us: Nathaniel Jimenez, Jesus Perez, and Valeria Palomar, who could not make it today. So this is a presentation about creating a study hall for our school. The issue: many students struggle to do homework after school. Homework gets piled up easily. Students have jobs, a loud house they can't focus in, and even lack motivation. This all stops them from getting their work done and achieving those high grades. We took our history project as an opportunity to try to create a study hall. We want to help students in our community become better. Waukegan used to have a study hall, but we learned it has gotten taken away from us. We want our resources back, and we want our resources known.
Students cannot focus in their own home. They may struggle with time management. Having a place during school hours would improve the motivation of students. Students' grades can improve, students can start going to bed earlier, and students can have less stress on their shoulders. We want this to be a safe environment for kids to learn and work. We want tutors and kids volunteering to help others. With the right space, the right mindset, students will find the right path.
The cost. There are many empty spaces in the high school that we can use. We spoke to our student board member, Joanna Gutierrez, about the cost, and we all agreed money should be put into some materials to make it a comfortable, studious space. By that being said, we have looked at the K-Long book, and we now know that the school's budget will be coming soon. We already have tutors in the library that can help volunteer in the study hall. For example, Washington has 20 tutors. Some can take turns volunteering to help students between periods. If we ask them, I'm sure they would not mind helping us students to study and make sure we keep that student work ethic by simply supervising the study hall. It is best to use our community and our resources to make this happen.
How will this be done? Although Waukegan is short-staffed, we can hire someone to specifically focus on supervising student study hall, or like we have previously stated, tutors or volunteers can supervise, along with teachers who do not have a class during specific periods. Our group and students from NHS or GROTC can add their volunteer hours to help turn the room into a student's classroom. We know students tend to be on their phones a lot. We can create a certain rule where the tutors or volunteers have to make sure their work is done for the day before they can get on their phones, meaning contact the teachers, have students prove them, etc.
Some ideas. Students who cannot attend study hall due to their filled-up schedules of classes they have to make up, they can have the option to go during their lunch period after they are finished eating, or bring their lunch to the room as long as it is cleaned up by them after. This study hall can be optional. We do realize some organized students prefer to do their homework at home, or already have a schedule to plan to do their work. Lastly, students must have proof of a job, a sport, or one or more AP/honor classes to have the study hall. This should be a restriction for students who cannot use the period to skip.
Support. During this project, we had to know that others were on our side. We hung up flyers around our school to demonstrate support. But to know others were on our side, we created a survey. 70% out of the 142 students were surveyed said Waukegan High School does not do a well enough job on promoting our resources. We also created a petition, and we got up to 200 signatures of students, teachers, and parents agreeing to our study hall idea. What we need from you is to be a part of the 200 signatures and approve this idea.
Let's do this. We are not alone. Students need help. They spoke up, and now let's help each other. This is a simple benefit that can help many students. In doing this comes the hope to raise the graduation rate. The students are more capable of being productive and successful. This will be one step forward. They spoke up, and now let's listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay, for coming today.
You're welcome.
And it's still, did you have anything else? Yeah. Go ahead. All right.
If there's any questions from
Go
the
ahead, Ms.
board,
Anna.
you can ask.
Yeah, I just, the presentation that you just done, it takes me back to the time when I was in high school, and we had a lady that monitored and took care of the study halls for students, and everybody knows this lady, and she happened. We named Daniel Webster Middle School for this lady, Edith Smith. She was the exact thing that you're talking about. And so, they say everything comes back around, and we did have study halls.
Yeah.
And they did help the students. I appreciate your effort and your ideas, and I will be a part of your 200 signatures to support.
Thank you.
Mr. McBride?
Well, unlike Miss Hannah, when I was working security at the school years ago, we had a teacher. Her name was Shirley Derrick. She's no longer with us, but she used to do study hall. Right. But I want to say, forget the 200. This board should automatically honor you with a study hall. And I said that before. Stevenson, Niles, they all got study halls, and they all got tutors in those study halls with those students. And we shouldn't be no different. You shouldn't have to come and ask and get no petitions. You need a study hall. And we're going to continue talking about you're academically behind, and we don't do anything to support you to get where you need to be. Shame on us.
Thank you.
And so I appreciate the work that you guys put into this project. I'd ask that you share your presentation with Ms. Gutierrez, and she can make sure that the board members get it. And we can talk about what a study hall looks, is because what I hear is two different things. So there were study halls that were a part of a student schedule, and there's been many conversations and reasons and rationale as to why that was not the case. What I also hear is that you guys want the opportunity for students to receive those tutoring services and make sure that there's a space and room available for where students know where they can go to get resources and help.
Yeah.
And that's also what I heard echoed by Mr. McBride. So I think, like we say, I thank you for the work that you did. Thank you for working with Ms. Gutierrez in order to present to the board, and we will be following up with you all and Ms. Gutierrez as to how we implement that and what that looks like in Waukegan Public Schools. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, ladies.
Good job.
Good job. Good
Thank
job.
you so much.
All right, Ms. Gutierrez, you have more?
Yeah, I do.
Go for it.
Okay, so during my report today, I wanted to acknowledge the Atmount Foundation. They reached out and gave 4 students an opportunity to take an 8-week course of what it really takes to be an entrepreneur. Out of these 4 students, one of them won, and it was Jonathan Meza, who is now getting a free advertisement for his barber business. I did want to mention that the last session I was invited to was a Shark Tank reenactment, which was very interesting. But like the Atmount Foundation, I want to advocate for my peers as well, for them owning their own small business, and I am pleased to say that tomorrow I will be doing the final walkthrough for my entrepreneur wall, and hopefully have everything in place so that at the beginning of the school year, everything is going to look nice, and I'm so excited to share that with you guys. I also wanted to mention that next year I will be planning to visit more elementary schools and talking about the importance of student work ethics. I am currently working on a structure and ideas, but to any of the board members, I invite you all to come with me or give me any more ideas on how I should structure this. Lastly, I did want to mention that I have been trying to look for motivational speakers to come talk to the middle schools and high schools, but I cannot seem to find the right resources or organizations. So if anyone knows, please feel free to contact me, or even if you are a community member who would love to speak to the students, I do want to do this once or twice a semester. That is all for tonight, though. Thank you.
All right.
And I want to do 2 things. I want to say thank you to Ms. Gutierrez, because one of the first ideas that she had when she came to this board was that entrepreneur wall. And not only did she have the idea, but she followed through, and it is happening at Waukegan Public Schools. And then connecting with organizations. I see Mr. McIntyre in the back with the Atmount Foundation, who's its president, putting that classes and making sure that students are getting the resources so they know what it actually takes in order to run these businesses. I was able to be one of the Shark Tank people to kind of question and poke holes. And I tell people, just like we saw with this presentation, as our students do amazing things every day. They are growing up, they're running businesses, they're organizing, they're creating solutions to systemic problems. And so we recognize the efforts of all of our students and appreciate what it is that they're doing. So thank you, and thank you, Atmount, for the scholarships, because you provided those opportunities to our students for free. So we appreciate that. Well, thank you, ladies, and thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. And our next presentation, as we move through the agenda 7A, is I'm sorry, would you want to microphone or? And if you want to stand up so they see you.
Okay, so for the motivational speakers, I will leave a paper out for any of the community members that are here that would love to do this. I am going to leave early today, so I just wanted to put that out there so everyone knows.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez.
All right.
All right, so our next item under special recognition and presentations, we have 7A, which is Black Lives Matter Lake County presentation. Mr. McLemore, I see you in the back, and then I know we have someone who is participating virtually.
Good evening, board members. Tonight I would like to introduce you to my friend, Mr. Ricky Clark. Mr. Clark and I grew up together, and he's been in education for most of his life. Mr. Clark is the executive director to My Brother's Keeper, initiated by former President Obama. He is an educator consultant, spent 30 years working with youth today, all through self-development. Mr. Clark is the author of 2 books, Kindergarten to 12th Grade Can Equal 13 Years a Slave, and What My Daddy Should Have Told Me. He used to own his own school, a community-based alternative school in Dallas-Fort Worth. My phone keep going out. Dallas-Fort Worth for 20 years in that area. Clark traveled throughout the United States designing, implementing, and coordinating programs to aid youth through self-development and cultural education. I have been talking to Mr. Clark about our school district, asking for suggestions. I could not fly him in, but he's here by Zoom, and Mr. Clark will give you a racial equity and excellent PowerPoint presentation. I introduce this board to Mr. Ricky Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Can you hear us?
I can hear you all.
All right, and then if we can get the volume up on Mr. Clark, I want to make sure that we can hear him as well.
So can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Coming in loud and clear. We appreciate you taking the time.
All right, thank you all for having me. I promise not to be long. Again, my name is Ricky Clark. I happen to be the executive director for the My Brother's Keeper program here in Fort Worth. Years had the opportunity to go to the White House and meet with Barack Obama in 2016 because of our innovative program, and then again 4 years later with Tim and Steph Curry in California. We run a very robust program, so let me see if I could start with this. You can see my screen. Can you see that PowerPoint right here?
We can. It's not coming in full screen though, Mr.
Hello?
Clark.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, we're muted on, okay.
Oh, sorry. I said we can see your screen. It's just not in full screen, Mr. Clark.
Okay, that's what I was asking. All right, let me put it in full screen for you. See it now?
You need to slide it up a little.
All right, so we started off with the My Brother's Keeper. It's an initiative, again, I said, started by Barack Obama in 2014. 2015, we went to the White House. 2016, a chance to meet with him. And one of the things that we found out is that, and when we got there, we found out that young men of color, 50% of men of color drop out of high school. You got that?
Yes, sir.
50% of men drop out of high school. 68% drop out of college after 2 years, but 78% graduate if they join a fraternity or play a sport. So we decided we would start fraternities in high school and middle school. So the concept is we will hire college graduates. I don't know if you're hearing me or what.
We hear you. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So we hire college graduates to mentor to the high school students. We hire undergraduates. Somebody's muting their phone. We hire undergraduates to mentor the middle school students, and then have the high school students read to the elementary school students. We work with predominantly African Americans and Latinos as our target audience. So I mentioned a little bit about the work that we've done, the schedule, a little bit about it. So what we focus on is 4 things. We focus on attendance, behavior, and academics. So on a weekly basis, students come to us on a weekly basis, and we meet with them at each one of the schools. You have to have a liaison, an MBK facilitator, and definitely the principal has to be involved. We go in there and we teach them massive doses of African history, Latino history, violence prevention, youth entrepreneurship, male socialization, and now female socialization. Some of the information that we send that they learn are things like this: who I am, where did my people originate from, what is the person condition of my people. I'm going fast because we only have a few minutes. So even if I would ask you all in this audience, can you think of a book from kindergarten through 12th grade that was required reading and speak positively about people of color? Probably the answer would probably be no. And then the second question that we would ask is, can you name a time when African Americans or Africans were not enslaved and empowered? And then normally I will wait, and the answer is normally always no, right? So with that said, I'm gonna take away from this and take you somewhere else. I want to take you, because I only have a short period of time. I wish I was there. I want to bring you to my board right here. Right? And this is called our MBK dashboard. And in the MBK dashboard, students are registered. Once they're registered, I'll show you this now. We work with approximately 362 registered students and 80 students that are not registered. This is boys and girls. They have MBK and MSK. I'm going to be moving fast. They have sign-in sheets, show you when they sign in, what students came in, when they came. We have deltas. Deltas tell you what we talked about, what was good, what was bad. You know what deltas are. We have touch points. Right here is that when we meet with the students outside the classroom, if you meet with them for anything, it may be just to give them a piece of gum or some advice or some funding or whatever it may be. These are the touch points, and this is how we track the information that we use with these kids, right? After they've been in the program after 4 years, they all receive, these are pending students. After they've been in the program after 4 years, they all receive brand new brand new suits, Joseph A. Banks, shirt, ties, everything, male and female. They've been doing this now for 4 years. We've had approximately 87% of the people who participate in our program graduate from high school, and we would also boast that 65% graduate from college, right? So how do we do that? Again, violence prevention, male socialization, female socialization, entrepreneurship, African history, Mexican Latino history, and I'll stop right there. So those are the things that we do, and I'm talking fast because we have a short period of time, but I normally have a presentation that'll take you a little further than this. But these are some of the things that we do. And let me, if I could, I would even go back to, I'll stop right there. So how do I get back to everybody? I'm gonna put this away. Hello? Can you all?
We hear. Yes, sir. We can hear you, Mr. Clark.
Right, so let me get back to where we are. Oh my gosh. I'll get back to you all. Struggling, trying to get back. I'm gonna get back in full screen. All right. All right. It's right here. Got it. Okay. Here we go. So if you might want to have a few questions you might want to have. So this is how we manage the system. Here's what we call MBK Live. So you can see where we are with the kids at any moment, what school they in, what time they in the school, who they're working with, and we're trying to make it up where you can have a laptop, you can just set it up and open it and see what's going on in the classroom. One of the ways that we manage it is through our Fort Worth MBK management. Let me see if I can. Sir? Oh, I'll do it this way. Got it. You go back to the dashboard. So when you go into the management of MBK, let me show you that. Just a second. And then you can open up for questions if you have any questions. Just gives you our yearly reports. You can come in there, it'll give you a report to show you. Now let's look at 20. Let me look at, oh, that one's not up there. What's coming up? It'll show you who we work with, how many kids, the attendance, the school attendance, the behavior, everything is put right there. How many incidents they had, what's the demographics, what schools we attended. What's the academic success? GPAs. So every 3 weeks they send us their attendance and behavior. Every 4 weeks they send us their grades. So that way if one of them messing up, they got 2 weeks before they can clean it up. So we monitor their attendance, their behavior, and their academics and community involvement. And it's all documented, the behavior. How many times they got in trouble? What did they get in trouble for? What did you do to correct that behavior? What you have right here would be what else we did when we did COVID. So I'll just stop with that. So I don't think you want to see that. But these are some of the things that we do. I will come back here. Any questions that you all may have?
So Board of Education, are there any questions? So what I would say, Mr. Clark, is what are you currently working with any schools or school districts in Illinois?
No, we're not working with any schools in Illinois at this time, but I am available for that. What we do is we design, implement, and I coordinate programs to work with students throughout the country. So right now we're doing work in mostly in the state of Texas, and then I have a pending contract in Kentucky.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, Mr. Clark, Ricky, bring up that the state of Texas no longer do alternate.
Well, I failed to mention that this program is funded through our Racial Equity and Excellence Department at Fort Worth ISD, and I work under that department. As a matter of fact, I'm a vendor for Fort Worth ISD. I don't work for them, but I'm one of the vendors. And I mentioned earlier that I ran an alternative school, and one of the policies that we've been able to implement, not only in Fort Worth, but in several schools in the district, we don't have alternative schools anymore. When I ran the alternative school, my goal was to end alternative schools. We don't have alternative schools anymore. You know, the kid has something major. They have to have a gun or something really big to go to a school. We don't have them anymore. Yeah, haven't had them in the last 3 years, 4 years. We haven't had them.
Wow, that's impressive, Mr.
And we have a policy for it too.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Clark, can you hear me?
Yes.
Why did you guys decide not to have alternative schools anymore? I'd just like to hear the purpose
Well,
behind it.
and I know you all familiar with the pipeline to prison. They did most of everything they do down here. They do evaluations. They deal with numbers, and the numbers show that the majority of students who attend alternative schools end up going to prison. So they had to end them, and I'm in a nutshell. That was it. Nothing else said about it. The families, the community got together and wrote a policy, and they ended it.
And so, and this has been one of the conversations, and then I won't belabor it because I think this was a great introduction. I thank you. So one, and we can meet, but just I love your reporting, right? And how you guys are able to document and show the numbers, and it's very clear and transparent. So I appreciate that, Mr. Clark. But one of the conversations that we've been having is even as it relates to what we did in Illinois was we passed Senate Bill 100. And SB 100 tried to do the same thing, which was to decrease suspensions, right? And what has been an impact of that is individuals say, well, now the kids are out of control. And what we're really saying is that suspension isn't a effective deterrent. So how have you all been able to actually deal with the student behaviors? Because the behaviors that we're getting students placed in these outplacements still exist. So what things are you doing in order to address that behavior?
So I'm glad you asked. You're talking about social emotional learning. And as we know, any kid, I don't care if they came from the richest house or the poorest house, a lot of them dealing with a lot of trauma. So when these kids come to school, we know up front that they're dealing with trauma. So we have a program that we call VIP, Violence Intervention and Prevention. And once we put it into the school system, and these are kids who are not in MBK, they just in the building. So we become the community within the community to transform the community. We go in and we set a set of agreements. We don't even have rules. We have agreements. And anytime you don't want to follow these agreements, you ain't got to come that day. Just let somebody know why you're not there, so they'll understand what that is. So we have a list of agreements: start on time, end on time, punctuality, confidentiality, things of that nature. So we've actually changed the climate. We understand that violence is learned, it can be unlearned. And so if violence is learned, it can be unlearned. What are we doing to unlearn the violence? A lot of those kids don't even know they're being violent, but I'm not bragging, it's a testimony. When the kids come in our program, let me give you an example. The superintendent called me to the office. and wanted to meet with me because the comment in the community was that, yeah, well, Ricky worked with the nice kids. Well, I went into his office and gave him 5 photos of the 5 kids that I took to meet with Barack Obama. All 5 of them had issues. And he was like, whoa, one wanted to commit suicide, several things that they were dealing with, several. But once they become a part of the MBK, they change. It's just like a part of a fraternity or a sorority. You can't be an alpha still doing food. And so once you become a part of MBK, the whole culture changed. Not only does it change the students, it changed the culture of the school.
Thank you for that, Mr. Clark. And then I'll let Mr. McLemore close us out. And then if we want to get in contact, will we be talking to you, Mr. McLemore?
Oh, yeah, I was contact. Nick got the email, so we made sure that we can keep in contact with him, and he willing to
Well,
work.
one of the things that you can do is my webpage is rickyclark.com, and actually just Google the work that we're doing here in Fort Worth. I'm not bragging. It's a testimony of the work that we do. I used to be a pastor of a church, and now this is my ministry. Just go take a look at some of the work that we've done. And I would say Google it.
Thank you for that, Mr. Clark. And
Don't you let nobody come and tell you about what they doing if they can't prove it. My thing is, they call St. Louis the show me, Missouri the show me state. Well, I call Fort Worth the show me city. So we'll show you where it works.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Clark, and I appreciate you, Mr. McLemore, for bringing this resource, and I'm sure we'll be getting in contact.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and as we bring the agenda back online, next up we have some exciting news. 7B, our Waukegan High School athletics state qualifiers in track. So I have Ms. Erbach, who is here.
Hi, good evening. I'm really very excited to stand in front of you today. While I'm talking, can I have all the athletes from track, softball, and wrestling come on up? This is definitely coaches.
Miss Arbach, would you make sure Chiquita get up there with you? She's sitting back there being
She's right here.
Yeah, she needs to come on up here.
She's coming. She's trying to hide out with that hat. This has definitely been the 21-22 female athletes for Waukegan High School's pride and joy. They've done huge success in a conference that is extremely tough. Just to give you a couple examples of spring sports in our North Suburban Conference. Softball, Warren got to the Elite 8. Baseball, Mundelein took second in state. Badminton, won state. Stevenson, won state. And volleyball Libertyville was the state runner-up. So we are in a very competitive conference, and these ladies rose above all of that and had their own accomplishments. First, I'm going to talk about the coaches, and then they can introduce you to their teams. The first 2 coaches, where's Ramsey? Come on up here, Ramsey. So these 2 young ladies, Shakita Jones, Amy Ramsey, they are alumni, class of 1997 from Waukegan High School. Varsity softball, varsity track, and varsity cross country. And then Andre Santana, who's a teacher at Brookside. He is our wrestling coach. And to give you a little background about wrestling, this was the first ever state series for girls wrestling. So 2021, 22, wrestling is now a state competition. It isn't a team competition yet, it's just an individual competition. And we'll start with wrestling because we placed 2 of our young ladies downstate this year for the first ever wrestling. And Andres, you want to introduce these girls?
Yeah, so we had Andre Santana, head wrestling coach. So we had 2 girls this year qualify for the state competition. With us today we have Elliot Gomez Perez. She's a graduating senior. She qualified in what was basically her second year. First year come out during the COVID year, and then this following year. So within 2 years, she was down there. And then we also had, who couldn't be with us today, she's actually also on the softball team, Nolani Rodriguez, the varsity starting catcher. She also qualified in her very first year ever wrestling. So it was amazing to have the girls make it down there and have them make it to the state competition for the first time ever. We do actually have historically some other girls that have wrestled in the past, but this is the first actual IHSA one. So it was really nice to be represented down there within for our conference and things like that. So it was awesome to make these girls be able to make that accomplishment.
Our next team that did us proud in the state competition was led by Shakita Jones with her assistants Candace Blanton, who's a Waukegan grad also. I'm not sure what class she is. She's a Waukegan track person. And then Nikki Keith, who is also a teacher at the high school, and she also coaches volleyball and track for us. So I'll let Shakita talk about her girls.
Thank you.
Yeah, bring them.
Ladies, step up. So Shakita Jones, head coach of girls track and field. So something amazing happened this year. For the first time in over 25 years since I graduated from Waukegan High School, we had 5 events qualify for the Illinois Track and Field State Championships. Yeah, clap for it. Clap for them. We qualified the 100-meter dash, the 100-meter hurdles, the 300-meter hurdles, the 4x1 relay, and the 4x2 relay. So that is the first time that's happened in 25 years, again, since I graduated from Waukegan High School.
What you say? You throw that out there since you graduated,
So let's
right?
just put that out there to let you know how phenomenal what these ladies have accomplished. I have Jemiah Watson, Ariana Exford, who we are losing for graduation. They were on the 4x1 and 4x2 relays. Clap for these ladies. Yay. And then we have Ashley Derrick, who did something amazing that hasn't been done since I left Waukegan High School. She qualified in 4 events for the state track and field meet. 100-meter dash, 100-meter hurdles, 300-meter hurdles, and 4x1 relay. Ashley Derrick also did something amazing. I told her, I said, do you trust me? She said, of course I do. So I moved her over to the hurdles this year. She is now the school record holder in the 100-meter hurdles and 300-meter hurdles. And she has another year to come back and break her record. She finished 6th in the 100-meter hurdles and 3rd in the 300-meter hurdles, hurdling 6 times ever. I need y'all to understand, 6 times ever. So I'm truly proud of my babies, and I got to thank Coach Ramsey because she allowed me to use one of her softball girls who is extremely fast, who also qualified for the state meet in a 4x1 and a 4x2. So thank you again for that. So that's girls track and field.
One other thing about Ashley Derrick here, she is an all-stater in 2 events, so her picture will be going up on the dog pound wall. So congratulations. The last program that was just huge success this spring, we're so proud of them, led by Coach Ramsey, Coach Schmeckel, Coach Kakamo, all teachers at Washington campus in PE, actually, all PE teachers for me. So here's Coach Ramsey.
Good evening. So again, like Shakita said earlier, for the first time in about 25 years, so actually it was a little over 25 years, it was our freshman year actually. It was the last time girls softball won a IHSA regional, and this year our girls went into the regional semifinal against a tough conference opponent. Kind of put the screws to us a little bit this season, took us when we were missing girls and sickness and injuries and things like that, and I just knew my girls had it in them. I told them, I said, go out there, have fun. You can win any game if you stick together, and they went out there and they won a really tough game, 7-6. We went to the regional championship, first time for me. I played softball for Waukegan. I've been coaching here for 19 years. First time I've ever been to a regional championship. And they took down a very tough number 2 seed. Now, understand, we going in to this, we were the 10 seed out of 16.
Wow.
Our season didn't go quite as well as we were hoping, again, with injuries and illness and things like that. I knew what this team had to give, and they go in 10 seed. They beat the 7 seed in the first regional, semifinal, and then they go in and they beat the number 2 seed in Hershey. What was it, 11-7? 11-7. We had a girl come up from JV who almost hit a grand slam. Our pitcher, Maggie Webster, was lights out all tournament long. She led us through The girls played together, they were tough, and I couldn't be more proud. I will admit, I cried when we did it, and then I cried again when we got this beautiful plaque.
Oh, yeah.
So I would like to recognize the girls that were able to make it today. We have a lot of girls that play travel ball, so a couple of, actually Nolani, the athlete who's also went downstate for wrestling, she has a travel ball game tonight. Girls are at practice, things of that nature. So I'd like to acknowledge my players that were here tonight. We're going to start with Liz Casterjohn. Our pitcher, Maggie Webster. Our right fielder, Ancelis Perez. Our third baseman, Mia Karani. And then our utility sub, Geneve Jones. These girls worked incredibly hard this season. Like I said, a lot of adversity, and they battled through it, and they made me so very proud. I want to give one last shout out because this would not be possible. This program would not run without my assistant coaches. So my varsity assistant, Chris Schmeckel, and my volunteer assistant, Alex Kakamo, who is also a Waukegan grad. What year again? 11. Graduated 2011. So again, thank you so much for having us tonight, girls. So very proud of you. Thank you for being here. Shout out to our female wrestlers. That was awesome. They had the parade through the school. It was so cool. Track. Girls, you did amazing. So proud of you as well. Thank you.
One thing Amy didn't mention, Viviana Guzman. She was the North Suburban Conference Player of the Year as a junior. She is a pitcher. She is going on a full ride to University of Wisconsin Green Bay. She is also a three-time All-Stater. So she's going up on the wall as well. I also want to thank you for all the support at that regional game. The turnout there was incredible with people. I was overwhelmed with how many people showed up for that game and watched it and cheered. It wasn't the result we wanted, but the girls knew they were supported and loved, and we're very proud of them. So thank you.
So yeah, great job. Thank you to our Lady Bulldogs for everything that you all have done and representing Waukegan well. We know that great things come from Waukegan.
I need to say something, Miss Arbag, before they leave.
And I'm sorry, ladies, those, we want a picture, so if our track, everybody come up. Track wrestling's, then Ms. McBride has something to say, and then I just got one thing to say, and then we'll move through our agenda. Awesome. Go ahead, Mr. McBride.
Mrs. Arbach? Mrs. Arbach? Where did she go? Arbach. In the past, when our girls was extraordinary like they are now, we always had some kind of parade for them. What happened to that?
So we did a parade through the school for them, to send them off like a state march.
So I just want you to think about that, because that's a great achievement, and it shouldn't go unnoticed. The community ought to see that.
And what I want to say is I always love the opportunity to embarrass my former teachers. So I see Ms. Schmeckel, who's in the audience, who actually failed me for gym, but I deserved it, and she gave me the opportunity to make it up. So thank you, and it's always great to see you, Ms. Schmeckel, and appreciate what you're doing with our students. So
I just add the points.
you just add the points. I appreciate you. All right, our final special presentation is our Spotlight on 60.
Congratulations.
All our safety patrol, it's a good opportunity for our older students to take on a leadership role and to help to establish our PBIS expectations of being respectful and being responsible and being safe.
So the social worker and I were talking because we loved the safety patrol program in our school, but we noticed that sometimes the students that were on safety patrol kind of assumed more of an authoritative position and sometimes would meaning well, but they would talk down to some of their students or kind of act like they were younger and kind of take charge of them. And we really wanted those students to learn how to interact with students that are different from them and learn about students with different abilities.
We really are using our more mature students, our fifth graders, to help out with the younger kids, the kindergartners, the first graders, the second graders. And their main job in the cafeteria can be as simple as helping them open up ketchup and walking in a line quietly out to recess. Once they get outside, then we utilize them to make sure the kids are playing fairly, playing safely on the swings and taking turns.
I like to, when we go to a playground, we go on the swings, we climb stuff, or we run around.
It gives our younger kids someone to look up to. They can help them to reinforce some of those expectations, but not only that, it's an older friend, a mentor that they can look up to and that they can hopefully model their being a student when they get older.
The kindergartners, they attach themselves to certain fifth grade students. Then we have others second graders that they're playing tag with. They sort of think of them as friends, even though I make sure that my students know that they're not necessarily friends. They're there to make sure that they're safe and responsible and respectful.
I think for our low incidence kids, it's a chance to be included with the general education population. I've seen a lot of growth in their social skills just from having those peer models with them. And then for the general education students, I think it's a really important life skill to learn that there are people with all different abilities and that just because they might be different doesn't mean that they're less than. So the buddy program meets once a week, so every Wednesday they get to eat lunch and have recess with their buddies, and then every quarter we kind of have a meeting with them and debrief and see if they have any questions, if they need to change buddies, or if they need any help with anything. The safety patrol is every day of the week, and they'll wear those orange vests that you see, and that's kind of a distinction for them so that students on the playground know that if they can't find a teacher or if they need help that they can look to a safety patrol. On buddy days, they don't wear a vest or anything to distinguish themselves because their role is just to be there to play with their buddy and just to be a friend. It's, no one has more power than the other.
And I joined Buddy because some of the buddies didn't have anybody to play with and I wanted to try to be friends with them.
And just like Safety Patrol, they had to write a letter about why they wanted to be in the buddy program and also if there was a certain buddy that they wanted to have. Some of them I think are familiar with the students. They see them in the halls. Some of the students push into their classroom. So we wanted them to have the opportunity to choose their buddy as well.
So those kids work all year. They donate their recess to help us, and we want to reward them for that.
So today we're celebrating our buddies by having an ice cream social. Our fifth grade buddies will be having ice cream as kind of a year-end celebration with our students in our low incidence classroom that they are buddies and role models for. We took our safety patrol students as a reward. We took them to the Milwaukee Brewers game yesterday, which was May 18th.
The kids almost listen more to the fifth graders than they do to adults, just because the relationship of seeing them every day and going on the swings, and they'll actually listen to them, which is amazing to see. And then those kids, you can see the smiles on their face when it's like, oh, Mr. D, she listens to me and not you. It's like, that's great, that's great. That's why I hired you.
So we're really excited to highlight Hyde Park this evening. Principal Carr, who you guys saw in the video, has a college visit with one of his own children today, so he couldn't make it. But Ms. Boyd, the social worker from Hyde Park, I believe is here. So if the board has any questions about the program, how it works, why it's so great, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to speak about it.
Good evening. How are you all?
Awesome.
So we are very honored at Hyde Park to be part of the Spotlight, and we're very proud of our students for being in our buddy program and also in our safety patrol. Our fifth graders show a lot of leadership. very caring, considerate of the younger students. With our buddy program, it is all about inclusivity. It is about them making friends with students who are different than them and understanding that they are good friends to have. So if you all have any questions.
I got one.
Go
Yes,
ahead, Ms.
ma'am.
Anna.
And it's actually about the film, the video. What was that kid doing when he was on the ground?
On the ground.
And he was leaning over?
So we have a storm grate on the playground, and the students are fascinated by it. So they are often looking to see who or what is down there. So the safety patrol, the student with the orange vest, he was there just making sure he was safe, because we can't keep them from wondering, right? It's about imagination and creativity. They're always looking down there like, who's down there? What's down there? So we make sure there's a member of safety patrol over there at all times to make sure the students are safe. Yeah.
And sanitary.
Kids are kids.
They are.
But I got
They are. I mean, he's not sticking his hand in anything. He's just looking in the grate.
Okay. He was kind of low.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes. How long have you had Safety Patrol, and have you thought about encouraging other schools to do the Safety Patrol or the Buddies program?
So Safety Patrol has been there several years. Mr. D, our music teacher, runs Safety Patrol, and so I believe at least 7 years.
Okay.
Safety Patrol has been there. Our Buddy program, this was our pilot year.
Okay.
It's the idea of our speech therapist, Hillary Blaine, and then I assisted her with that. So this was our first year during our Buddy program. And we learned a lot from it, and we have so many ideas of how we want to improve on it. And we welcome other schools to come and see how it runs, and we would love to help others get it started.
Great. I think it's both of those are great programs, and especially the Buddy program. It sounds like you're putting some caring, and we need so much of that in our society today. It's really needed, and oftentimes kids are afraid or just unsure about how to deal with somebody who's different than them. So I think you're doing something very great, and I would like to see that expanded to some of our other schools if it works out good through your pilot program. Great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Ms. Gonzalez.
Yeah, I had two questions. But yeah, kudos to your team and everyone at Hyde Park. I think that this is really important, not only because the students are creating a culture of inclusivity and like a shared coordination of, hey, like, let's help each other, which I think is really important, especially at that level where it may be kind of scary to make friends and to sort of get to know the school. But do you find that through the program that some students are able to ask for help? Because I remember in elementary, if you're shy, if you're feeling insecure about your ability in the classroom, it can be intimidating to ask for help. Do you feel like this program has allowed more people, some of those students, to ask for help, even of the adults, by leaning into some of their older peers for help?
Absolutely. We have found that students are asking for help, and not just asking for help, but asking questions, right? I think too long we have taught our students, we see something different, but we don't want to talk about it, right? We talk about it because people are different, right? And children have to learn that. And different doesn't mean less than or more than, it just means different. So we encourage them at every, aspect, ask questions if you have questions. If you want to know, why your buddy doesn't talk, why your buddy speaks or communicates differently, ask us about it and let's talk about it so you know.
Yeah. And so my second question to that is, as students become buddies, do you share inclusive language with them and teach them what it means to understand ability? Because I think that's some of the things. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we have students who wanted to learn, some basic signs so that they communicate with their buddies. We had a student come to us and ask about a particular condition that one of the buddies had and say, well, what do I do with this? Is it okay to play this with them? Because they want to make sure that they're having fun, but they're also safe. So we have been incredibly proud of the maturity that our students have shown, but also just the acceptance, right? It's like once you get through that fear of the unknown, it's like, we can just go and play and have fun, and it doesn't matter what our abilities are.
Well, I hope you share it with the rest of the schools, because that's what we need more of at every level.
Thank you.
Ms. Wozniak?
Yes.
How are the safety patrol and buddy people picked?
That's a good question. So they have to apply for safety patrol. Mr. D has an application the students have to fill out and kind of list their qualifications, why they think they would be good at safety patrol. They also have to demonstrate that they know at Hyde Park what it means to be safe, to be responsible, and to be respectful. He gets recommendations from teachers as well, because we want to know that you're doing what you're supposed to do in the classroom before we put you in charge, so to speak, of other students. For the buddy program, they also applied, but they had to write an essay that talked about why they wanted to be a buddy.
That's great.
And
That's
I
good.
appreciate centering student voices and involving our students in order to be a part of the solution. I'm always, and impressed is the wrong word, but I always appreciate how our students rise to the occasion when given the opportunity. And I also like to recognize is that sometimes we give our students authority without actually modeling how to be good at it.
Right.
And so the fact that you all are saying, hey, it's not just bossing people around, it's just sometimes how they view authority and adults in their lives.
Yes.
But this is how
adults
you
do it too.
And that's the point. That's what I mean. Yeah. And so we have to model the behavior that we want to see. So thank you for that, and we appreciate the work that you're doing at Hyde Park. Ms. Hannah, final question.
Yeah, I just want to say again, this is the second time this tonight that that things are going back and around in the circle, because we had the patrols
Okay.
before,
Yes.
but they were they crossed the streets. They were crossing guards, and they were usually the higher level,
Okay.
the higher grade student.
Yes.
Being the crossing guards, the patrol for the schools, and I'm just glad that things are coming back around, because they were good things
Yes.
for our students.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you
Board
so
President,
much.
can I just add one more thing? I know that was the last one, but do you have a format or that you're using for the buddy program? Have you heard? Are you using some nationwide program at all, or is that
No,
just
it's
creating
not a
it?
nationwide program. It
Right.
is, again, it was the idea of Hillary Blaine, our speech therapist, and
Okay,
she was
right.
like, what do you think about this? And so we sat down and we kind of sketched it out ourselves on how we wanted it to look.
Okay.
What
Right.
was most important to
Right.
us was
I
that
would
it was
just mention
inclusive.
that there is a
was
national
yeah.
program called Rachel's Challenge, and it can start as early as elementary and go right up through high school. So you might want to just check out that program. They have a program nationwide, and it moves. Oops, they're trying to teach the kids, about caring and looking for the kids in the school, especially when they move up. Kids who are isolated, and we know what isolated kids who feel like they're not connected can do. So they basically form a club, and they call it Rachel's Challenge. So you
I'll
might
check
wanna
that out.
check
Thank
that
you.
out. Yeah, it's a good program, and I'd like to see it, begin in our schools and move on up through the high school.
All
Yeah,
right.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for what you're doing.
Thank you, and we appreciate it and everything
Absolutely.
and all your efforts.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You too.
Have a good night.
All right, we have our approval of our minutes. I'm gonna ask that we can take these two together. So approval of the minutes of the special open session meeting of February 15th, 2022. And item B, approval of the minutes of the special open session meeting of March 21st, 2022. Motion by Ms. Wozniak.
Second.
Second by Mr. McBride. Any comments, questions, or changes to either of the minutes? All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion is approved. Minutes are approved. Motion carries. Next item is the opportunity for public comment. When I call your name, please step up to the podium. You can state your name for the record. If I mispronounce it, also ask that you refrain from mentioning staff or student names in your remarks, and that we keep. Well, that's it. If you need translation services will be provided for you, and you will be given 6 minutes to allow for translation. The first name on the list is Sue Green.
Hey.
And Ms. Green, whenever you start speaking, your time will start.
Green.
Hello, my name is Susan Green. I graduated from Waukegan High School. After college, I came back here to work in special ed. I worked under the tutelage of Bob Abbott, and I will tell you every positive adjective that you have ever heard about Bob Abbott and the way that he handled all of us who worked underneath him is true.
Absolutely.
I think my experiences were wonderful. Finally, I'm still a resident of Waukegan. Today, I am here to request an exploration into better acoustics in this room. I can personally hear everybody when I am listening on my telephone at home. I can also hear people who talk on this microphone. However, I can almost never hear or understand what is being said by the board members.
Really?
Wow.
So, what I am hoping is that you will investigate this oversight and remedy it and make it possible that people like me can sit in the boardroom and hear and participate as a listener. And I'm hoping that you will be able to do this, because there are many of us now who have hearing difficulties, and I am lost when I can't hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
Yeah. What is that about?
Next name on the list is Ray Vukovic. And Mr. Vukovic, your time will start whenever you start speaking.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Happy Flag Day to everybody.
Yes.
Hyde Park School, congratulations. And I have to say, they are absolutely wonderful neighbors. A lot of times people live near a school and all they do is complain. And we've lived there over 30 years and they've been beautiful neighbors. So congratulations.
Absolutely.
Tonight you're approving, or just approved 2 sets of minutes. Congratulations. But you're still way behind. And I've had communications to this board publicly. I filed complaints with the Illinois Attorney General about that. That is ultimately the responsibility of the Secretary of the Board of Education, who is your superintendent. Now, a couple weeks ago, you extended her contract, you gave her a big bonus. Tonight, I think she's going to get a 4% raise. Now, classroom teacher, recently school got done, was over for the year. If a classroom teacher hadn't submitted grades and report cards couldn't be issued, are we just going to let that go? Oh no, there's going to be consequences. So when are some consequences going to be handed down here? She's the secretary of the board. That's ultimately her responsibility, and people under her are supposed to take care of that. So at some point, I hope that gets done, because you're keeping it from the public, and it's violation of Illinois law. Now, in tonight's board docs, you have all your, you talk about transparency. You're taking a step backwards. Now in your board docs for your bill payment, when it's an employee of the school district, it just shows up employee vendor. Doesn't give their name. Now most of them are $50 for mileage reimbursement for teachers that go back and forth. But you know, there are a couple of them there were like $3,500. I think you should know who those people are. Right. The public should know. Now, we have the remedy of going through FOIA, but Lord knows how that's going. I spoke to this board in special session last week. I talked to the board president about that. I'm still waiting for a FOIA. 2 weeks ago, I got a response from the FOIA officer that it was all with the board attorney, and she was going to work over the holiday weekend to take care of it. Now, I don't know if she's talking about the 4th of July now, but that was Memorial Day, 2 weeks ago. I've gotten nothing. So, you know, you talk about everything's wonderful, but some of your people at the top are not producing. And it's your board. You're their boss. So you need to hold their feet to the fire. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Next name on the list is Rayon Edwards. Mr. Edwards, when you start speaking, your time will begin.
You know, it's real funny that Mr. Vukovic just spoke about the secretary of the board, because with so much going on and so much happening in our district, she has the nerve to not be at a board meeting. to listen to the community. And I'm kind of noticing that a lot when we are inviting her to these community events. She comes there, she stands, she poses for a picture, and then she get up out of the room. There's no community engagement. So what is she there for? So I wanted to tell the public, recently I received an email from the Director of Security here. And the Director of Security is addressing me about an issue that happened here at the board meeting. But what was very ironic to me is that not one board member was attached to this email. Not one. How is any employee addressing what goes on at a board meeting when they don't dictate the board meetings? That's funny to me, you know? And I don't understand that, because we talk about rules and regulations and policies and procedures. And y'all sending me an email telling me what I can't and shouldn't do and what's allowed and what is allowed. But here it is, y'all not even doing y'all job. So the audacity for y'all to disturb my peace with that email. I'm disgusted. Because we hear every week telling y'all something that needs to be done, asking y'all to do something. Pointing out, we showing y'all the data. We proven everything we've came to this mic to say. And so we know SHI rolls downhill, right? That's what's happening. Y'all haven't woke up yet? What are we waiting on? What got to happen? I really want to know what has to happen. And then we have an attorney that sits on this board that is basically not advising them on what they should and shouldn't do, because I called the Attorney General, and the Attorney General of Illinois telling me I shouldn't have got that email without a board member on there. So what is that attorney doing? What is we paying her to do? That's exactly what I want to know. Because I'm lost, y'all. We just throwing away money, and then throwing it away. And y'all always talking about infrastructure, capital improvement. Y'all make me sick. Because I don't care what you do to those buildings, and I'm going to keep on saying it, I'm going to say it every week. You can do everything to the outside of those buildings. You can paint them, you can reshape them. But if we don't fix what's inside of them, it's the same raggedy building. I think the Secretary of State said something that I read an article. He's talking about investing in the teachers. Something that I think Waukegan has lost its way on. Because we can't keep no good ones. And the good ones we've got, we treat them like what? I'm just highly disappointed in this entire board. I really am. Seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Next name on the list is Don Johnson. I don't know if Ms. Johnson is in the next room. Okay, I'll give her time. Ms. Briaga, you're next on the list. Do you want to go up while we wait for her? Okay.
There's a lag. There's a lag.
A lag, gotcha. I think he's going to get her.
Hey, Marcus and Wanda.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here. Wow, this has been a great meeting. I was at Hyde Park. Great job. I haven't seen that presentation in a long time. Hyde Park did a great job. Clyde McElmore, thank you for acknowledging the kids that we don't hear about in the alternative placement. Thank you, my friend. But I'm here today to talk about an issue that happened several weeks ago as I was leaving the school board. And we talk about leaders, but we got to talk about, we got to talk about accountability too. Several weeks ago I was here, and 2 weeks, thank you. 2 weeks I was here, and the superintendent thought it was necessary to address me in a negative behavior. She went to say, God is good, very aggressive. I have not, in several months, had a conversation here at this board. I have thought it was best for me to address it through email and build that relationship than here at the board. But for her to address the community, you see my young people here, Wanda graduated from Waukegan High School. So when you say Let us all be able to acknowledge all children. She graduated from high school here. She works here in the district. She volunteers here in the community. So let us acknowledge everybody. My grandson was a student here. Now he has been homeschooled for the last 5 years. But however, he's still a citizen of Waukegan. So for the superintendent to address me with my family when I did not address her, that's a no-no. So what I'm asking today is, board, if we want our kids to be accountable and we want to discipline them, we better start from the head. Because I'm going to tell you, and I mean what I say, she's not going to disrespect me again. Because I do not disrespect anyone when I come here. My young people enjoy coming here. Because you know something? They learn who the board is. They learn who teachers are. They see some of their teachers that they had. Marcus was so proud to be at this last board meeting 2 weeks ago to put his input. So what I'm asking today from the board, don't address the teachers and administrators if you're not going to address the head, and that's your superintendent. Because I have not, and I did not address her. So as I told my young people today, we're going to come here, we're going to be nice at all times, but they want that same respect back. My young people didn't want to come today. And I told them, you're always going to be able to come. But what I'm asking today is, I'm a little upset still. And the reason why I guess I'm upset, where is she at? Where is the superintendent at? Is she online? I have seen the board members come. They have respected the community and be online. Where's the superintendent?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Next name on the list is Diana Berger.
Good evening, school board and community. I also am really happy about the presentation that you gave, Mr. McIntyre, and I'm sorry, Mr. Clyde. I also, the presentation about Hyde Park, that was really awesome. I used to go to Hyde Park. I used to be a patrol, you know how we says coming back around.
Yes.
It's wonderful because I also was like the patrol and walking across the street. And I've been talking about the buddy system for years. In IEPs at my schools with my son, you know, and all that. So I'm glad that's happening. That's a beautiful thing to be able to, you know, let some of our children who don't have the same abilities, you know, bond with the children and have them be role models and you know, have that social part that some of our children who are different don't get to share. So I'm really happy about that. I think that's wonderful, and kudos to that. I am also here to talk about what happened 2 weeks ago. I find it very, it was very combative and almost it was very provoking the way our superintendent stood at the end of the stairs when I've never seen her after meetings ever go out that way for one. It's always in here, and it's almost like the superintendent rushed to go out, waited at the end of the staircase, and as we were going down the staircase, it was a group of us because, you know, we were having the meeting and you guys were brainstorming, we had our own ideas, and one of the ladies that was at our table had a shirt that said, "God is good." As we're walking down the stairs, we were all in our conversation, weren't talking about anything negative, about the board, about how the meeting went. And the superintendent, as the last one of us was walking by, said, "God is good." It was a slap in the face, and it was very, like using the Lord's name in vain. It was incorrect on so many levels, and it was like she was stirring the pot messy. You don't expect that behavior from our superintendent, and this is the person who is over our children and who is supposed to be a role model and supposed to show, you know, be professional and show, you know, more class and ethic. I do appreciate you, Mr. Brandon, you sat outside, we spoke, you, I, and Dawn Johnson for a while. You know, I appreciate that. But I feel like there needs to be apology had, you know, and I feel like it's warranted. It was wrong. It was disrespectful. I also heard that it was the security was now being attacked because it seemed that he wasn't doing his job when he absolutely did. He was, asked us to keep walking out. I videotaped it. It's on, I put it on live. Okay, well, that's my time. All I wanted to say was have a great night, and we got to do better. And you got to, talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words.
Next name on the list is Mr. Mark Shington. All right, Mr. Shington, your time will start whenever you start speaking.
Good evening. I've been a resident here for 30 years. Now, honestly, I'm getting really tired of watching and reading news about Waukegan to see what young child has recently passed away. Okay? Now, there's a few individuals in this room that have been here long enough, so I want to give everybody a little history lesson. This thing here was never here.
Right.
There were just tables.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Shington, can we pause this time? Just because we got the comment about sound, one of the issues is board members and individuals at the podium.
This structure here was never here. It was put in place because at the time who was sitting on the board didn't feel safe. Well, guess what? Honestly, a lot of people in this community don't feel safe. It's not safe to go for walks. You have to watch where you're at. But who pays the price?
Innocence.
Every time I look in the news, it's youth of Waukegan. Okay? I had an objection, a little bit of an objection, to how we were spending on the counselors and stuff. There's probably, every child here needs some type of intervention. We're all struggling with issues, okay? We're only hitting just a small amount and we're missing those. And it's a shame. It really is. I mean, and the people that are working with these students, the teachers, they're the ones that are seeing their students, pay these prices.
Yeah.
And so until we realize what's actually going on, and I mean, this is like 20, almost probably 15 years.
Yeah.
But, so, an actuarial, Ford Motor Company, when they have a product that goes bad, they determine whether they're going to fix the problem or just pay out those lawsuits.
Thank you, Mr. Shington.
Okay? Those payouts are our kids.
Thank you, Mr. Shington. I have one more commenter who can come to the microphone, Mr. Anthony McIntyre. But while he does that, I do want to implore the board is when we have our sidebar conversations or when we are speaking, is we got to use the microphone. We used to say that it was for the people who are listening online. It picks us up fairly well, but in the room, if I talk like this, the board can hear me, but it becomes very difficult for those in the audience to hear. So just a gentle reminder, not only those at the microphone, but also those here on this podium should be speaking into the mic when they're talking. And I'm sorry, Mr. McIntyre, whenever you begin speaking, your time will start.
Want to sort of piggyback on what your student board member was talking about, Joanne. So, as she said, the Ant Mound Foundation, we have our AMBI class. It's the Ant Mound Business Incubator and Corporation Initiative. It is really truly designed to push the mission of entrepreneurship, specific to young people. So there are a lot of young people these days who, without anything to do, anything positive, they will find something else to do. There are many amongst the young people in these schools that have an entrepreneurial spirit that needs to be encouraged and nurtured. That is the real reason why we have this AMBI program, and I want to encourage the school district across the board to tap into that population of young people that you have in your schools and find out from them those, no matter how crazy you think their idea is or what they want to get into, but encourage them to put it on the table that they can be the best entrepreneur in the world. And if we do that more, programs like AMBI would be more effective with helping you guys to encourage those students. From this AMBI class, as Joanne said, we set up a Shark Tank type of a situation. I don't know if you all are familiar with Shark Tank, but it's a bunch of venture capitalists, individuals who want to invest in prospective entrepreneurs. So we have that moving forward, and it will be an ongoing endeavor. So when we have students, young people who want to be entrepreneurs, they need funding, we're going to help them with that funding. So we don't have any excuses as to why they can't be successful. So we do the funding, that's one thing. But probably more important than the funding is the encouragement to let them believe in themselves. So I think that we all need to do better in that area. And when it comes to interventions and things of that nature that we want to try and get in between them and the streets and violence, just lift them up and recognize that you have programs like AMBI that exist to help them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. All right, if we can get our agenda back up on the screen. All right, so we are at purchases and contracts. So we have 12A, which is the approval of emergency contract amendment requests for K through 12 by Elior.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the one-year emergency contract amendment with K-12 Elior for the 2022-2023 school year.
Mr. Riddle, I so move that we approve make a motion that we approve the recommendation of the Deputy Superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, I just, now these are our teachers, right? Our online teachers?
No, ma'am. This is related to the food service contract.
Food service.
Huh?
Food service contract.
Okay.
Preferred meals, I see that they come in the back, or previously preferred. Okay. We had already approved an extension. This extension will be in place for 1 year, and then we will go out for bid and as we are required to by law. So thank you all for. I know that it's been a big disruption when we talk about food service. It's not just lack of formula. It's not just when you walk into the grocery store, some of your favorite items and brands aren't on the shelves. It's impacting us nationwide, including in education. We appreciate our vendors stepping up and sticking with us and making sure that we have food service in place during the summer, but also next year under the burden that we are experiencing. And so food service will look different in District 60, but we thank Elior for sticking with our district. We've been partners now for some years, and so we know the burden that you guys are under, and we appreciate your collaboration with the district.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
If there are no other questions, then we are going to take a roll call vote.
I got a question. Are you guys the ones still supplying the cookies?
Yes, anytime.
Okay, but where are mine? You forgot about mine. But you gotta tell her. You gotta tell her. They're supposed to be scorched a little. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all. So we got a roll call.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan-Wozniak? Yes. Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez? Yes. Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at item 12B, approval of asbestos abatement at Clearview, Little Fort, Washington, and Whittier Elementary.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize Midwest Service Group to remove discovered asbestos-containing materials to support mechanical improvements at Clearview, Little Fort, Washington, and Whittier Elementary.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Wozniak.
Second.
Second. Any comments or questions on the motion? My only comment is our students deserve to drink clean water. They deserve to be in buildings that are not filled with asbestos. They deserve to be in buildings that are comfortable with air conditioning, heating, and things that work. I will forever support and defend us moving our schools to where they need to be as healthy, safe learning environments for staff and students. So with that, I would like a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak? Yes. Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 13A, we are holding over. 13B, SBB position approvals.
It is the recommendation of the administration to approve the SBB FTE requests as found in the agenda attachment in the amount of $325,000 for salary and benefits.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments or questions on the motion? My only comment is we use acronyms, and so we want to define those. SBB is site-based budgeting. So for confirmation, these are positions requested by the schools. I don't see Ms. Patty. Mrs. Deputy Cesario, you're here.
She's right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm blind. I don't have my glasses on either. So that would help. So Ms. Patty, is that correct? And again, so when we talk about pushing resources and individuals, these are positions that were requested by the schools, and what we are doing is approving those. They've already been posted, right, because we want to start hiring, and this is the board's official action. So thank you for confirmation, Ms. Patty. And we do have a motion in a second. FTE, full-time employee. So all of the acronyms. So site-based budgeting, SBB, and FTE, full-time employees. So these are people in those schools that will be able to support our students and staff members. Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak? Yes. Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, items approved, motion carries. We are now at 13C, personnel 61422.
Recommended action is that the Board of Education accepts the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments and accept the resignations and retirements as found on schedules F980, L927, and G638.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second, I heard first was Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments, questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak? Yes. Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at item 13D, approval of year 5 salary increase for board approved SEIU custodial and maintenance contract for school year 2023.
It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the Year 5 Me Too clause provision salary increase that is linked to the non-union district administration at a rate not to exceed 4%.
So moved.
Non-union?
Second.
I thought this was union.
SEIU.
Yes.
SEIU is the union.
Can you go and click on item E, Mr. White? I know we're at
I
D,
think-
but I want to make sure.
Because it's the Me Too clause.
It's the Me Too clause.
Oh, got you. All right, understood. Can we explain for clarity for Ms. Hannah? I don't know if Deputy Moten.
Union. Not only me, Charlotte asked the question.
Whoever.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna get
Good evening, members of the board, community, and staff. So this agenda item as well as agenda item E are somewhat linked in the 5-year current SEIU agreement. Years 4 and 5 of the agreement, and we're going into year 5 next year, is linked to the non-union administration annual increase. So whatever the administration receives as an annual increase, the SEIU custodial maintenance group would receive as well.
Right.
Yeah. So, can I comment still?
Yeah, Me Too
Okay.
clause. Yep.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing because it allows the union and the administration to have parity so that they get the same increases.
And we did bring this forward, recommended in a similar fashion this time last year. for year 4.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
So, Mr. Moulton, this is for your union contract, your membership, the union membership, right?
That is correct. This item is for the custodial maintenance SEIU union members.
Okay, and so when it says that the salary increase that is linked to the non-union district administration, could you please elaborate on that?
Yes.
Explain it.
Yes, ma'am. So the Me Too provision within their contract states that year 4 and 5, the annual base salary increase for the SEIU custodial maintenance staff will be the same as what the non-union administration receive. So the recommendation for non-union is 4%. It is item E. They would receive the same as if non-union received 5%, 10%, 2%, it would be the same. That's what they agreed to in their current contract in 2018.
Mr. LeBaron,
And I'm sorry, Jeff.
I'm
He's
sorry.
speaking to Mike.
Mr. LeBaron, I think what would be more important for you to really explain from an equity standpoint, the difference in terms of Peter and Paul, so to speak. And I'm saying that to say that I don't know if our safety is non-union or they're union, but certainly if one receive it, the other one should. And that's what the point I'm trying to make. And could you kind of give an example of what I'm trying to say here?
Well, Mr. McBride, every union agreement has a stipulated annual increase within that bargaining agreement for the school year that's upcoming or the one that recently passed. So with this particular group, when they bargained their contract, they agreed to a Me Too provision. Currently, no other agreement within the district has something similar. They already have a predetermined annual percentage increase. So safety staff are union paraprofessionals, but they're not in this particular bargaining unit. This is our custodial and maintenance employees.
Yeah, can I make an example maybe to help Mr. McBride and Mr. Moulton? Can you correct me if I'm wrong? So if Peter is a custodian that's been with us for 5 years, and Paul is an administrator that has been with us for 5 years, they both will get a 4% increase?
No.
Kind of.
Doesn't have.
If they fall within this collective bargaining agreement,
Yeah.
or they're a non-union administrator,
One is custodian
they
and
would
one is.
they would receive the same under this agreement just for this year. The percentage, not the amount, but the
Right.
percentage.
Right.
Yeah, so item E, we're recommending 4% for non-union, and therefore, because of the Me Too clause, I'm looking at it, I'm sorry, I'm blind. Our custodial staff and maintenance workers will receive the same, is what we're doing.
Right.
Yes, and that's being recommended because we look at the average of what's being done for all job
Yep.
classification groups throughout the district, 4%. And again, we did the same thing last year with year 4 being part of the Me Too provision for this particular group.
Right.
Awesome, all right, and so.
I think what's more important about this whole issue is that, from a budget standpoint, are we in good standards to be able to make sure that both parties, I keep saying non-union and the other disposition that you mentioned, but make sure that both parties, from an equity standpoint, receive the same. But as far as from a budget standpoint, Ms. Polk, we capable of doing that, correct?
Yes, she shakes her head yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Board President, let's call the question. Can we do that?
Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak? Yes. Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at item E, approval of non-union personnel compensation for FY 2022-2023.
It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to give a 4% raise to all non-union personnel with employees with single health insurance coverage only, contributing 0.32% of their pay towards single health coverage and those with dependent coverage paying 35% of any increase in dependent rates from FY 2022 per plan type as determined by Blue Cross Blue Shield, the district's insurance carrier.
Mr. Riddle, I so move.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or question on the motion?
Yes, just for some clarity and understanding, I would like for Ms. Pope to come up to explain this, why some of those, that language was in there, one, who can't and why, in reference to, I heard you speak about those that had insurance. Could you speak on that, please, Ms. Pope?
Yes, some years ago, board president, board members, community members, constituents, some years ago we wanted to have employees contribute to our health care because health care was escalating. And so we asked that the non-union personnel contribute based upon their salary, because if we had a flat amount, then it would not be equitable, right? So we said 0.32% of their base salary they would contribute for single coverage or individual coverage, because the district pays 100% of our employees individual coverage. And so then we said that they would contribute as they were before for family coverage. And that's what's in the proposal for tonight.
Thank you.
All right. With that, I would, any other comments or questions? And again, I do want to, we do this nearly every year. So Ms. Polk, I would like you to speak to it. Is everyone else, as we talked about in the last action, is taken care of through their negotiated contracts. Non-union, by definition, do not have a contract. So each year, since I've been on the board, there's a recommended increase amount. The board votes on that. In certain years, we've done that retroactively. So July 1st is when the fiscal year starts. Normally, we don't meet in July. So typically, we're not doing this until our first or second meetings in August. And then we do that retroactively, which means we go back to July 1st. Since I've been board president and while the superintendent has been here and under Ms. Polk's tutelage, if we can do this before that fiscal year, we don't have to do that backtrack. And so that is what this action is. It is not anything crazy. It is not anything unprecedented. It impacts a significant amount of employees who fall under our non-union. The other thing that I will say to this is the superintendent already has a separate contract. This action does not impact her. So while I know, it's always, it says that, but Ms. Pope, can you speak to that?
Yes, she's in the list, but she's not, because she's a non-union, but she's not a part of the 4% increase. We give her a raise based upon her contract.
So in essence, what you're saying, she's not getting a 4% increase.
She's not at present.
Not with this action.
Not with this action.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
So we want for.
Shouldn't have been included here.
We do this every year. I
In
know it's
essence,
already- yeah.
I could have removed her, but this was a list of non-union personnel. Yes.
And this will support our teachers.
No.
No, because the teachers are union.
I mean, that's a tough question because we all support the schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, this is basically for the non-union personnel. Lincoln Center personnel, you have bus drivers, you have principals, assistant principals in this group.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so all of those other things.
Yeah.
So if there are no further questions, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak? Yes. Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah? President Ewing?
Yes. All right, motion approved, item carries. We are now at item 13F, attendance at the 2022 CUBE Conference.
It is a recommendation that the Board of Education approve the attendance of 6 board members and 2 staff at the 2022 National Association of School Boards CUBE Conference in Miami, Florida, from September 29th to October 1st, 2022, at a cost of $2,100 per person, which includes registration, airfare, lodging, and per diem, for a total cost of $16,800.
I'd like to make a comment.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Mr. McBride. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
Yeah, I'm not going to CUBE, but the CUBE conference I attended, I thought was really, really impactful. I gained a lot from it. I think for me, I'm still a little bit wary of traveling. Cases are still increasing. But I hope that, you know, I do a lot of my own research, and I'm still trying to be disciplined as it relates to what is expected of me.
Ms. Gonzalez, can you speak into the microphone?
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm trying to be more disciplined and do more research as it relates to sort of being more of an effective board member. But what I really want the board to sort of take from this conference is actually the abolitionist teaching. The main speaker is talking about abolitionist teaching, and I would like for you all to sort of come back and digest some of that. Abolition is something that's really important to me. So I do think this is a really good investment. I just chose not to go.
I don't mean to be a little slow, but what is abolition teaching? What is that?
Well, you'll find out, and then you can report back, Mr. McBride.
Yeah, basic and the removal, right? So it's not just sometimes, and you know this, Mr. McBride, when we sit on these boards, is we try and figure out ways to get our students to succeed in an inequitable system. And what we want to do, or abolitionist says as well, we need to make some drastic changes to the system, right? And we've all seen the image of the fence. And so when we talk about equity, they use that image a lot. So it's you have the boxes and everybody gets the same, but they don't have the same abilities. Well, then if you give a short person 2 boxes, a medium height person, they can see over the fence.
So
what abolition calls for is the removal of the fence.
Is that abolition teaching what Mr. Clark was talking about in his presentation?
I don't know directly, but you know that would be a conversation that we can have with Mr. Clark.
I'm just wondering, would that be the philosophy or the idea of abolition teaching? I'm just wondering, is there anything surrounding that? Does it look like like that?
We don't know. It can be talked about. What he's talking about, the abolition part would be that they no longer outsource their students. Right. So that is,
well, I'll wait till I get to
they abolished it, right?
Okay. I'll let them tell me. Yeah, I'll let them tell me. Okay, thank you.
All right, we're at 13F.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak? Yes. Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes. Item approved, motion carries. We have a couple of administrative appointments we'd like to recognize.
Okay, so our first appointment is Ms. Nicole Mackey. She will be transitioning to the coordinator of pre-K to 8 literacy at an annual salary of $88,000. I believe she is.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Congratulations. We appreciate you in this new role. Next up.
Do you have anything you want to say?
I'm excited.
Oh, okay.
I have a lot to say, but.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next up we have
Mr. Nathaniel Weber, who is going to transition to the coordinator of social science for K-12 with an annual base salary of $80,000.
Congratulations, Mr. Weber, Waukegan alum, so we always love to see our teachers who come back, so appreciate it. Next up, we have another Waukegan alum, Assistant Principal Kimberly George.
Yes, so Ms. Kimberly George will be transitioning to the assistant principal at our Brookside campus at an annual salary of $95,000. Congratulations to all our new hires.
So we are actively working to fulfill all of our positions, and so we're excited to see Ms. George join our high school team. Always. So we have Pastor and First Lady Atwater who are in the audience as well. So we appreciate them joining us. All right. And we're good. So now we are at, and I want to make sure. We voted on the Q conference, right?
Yes.
We did.
We're at 16.
Okay. So I don't know Board of Education, but if you guys are fine, I would like to take items A, B, and C together.
Great.
Yeah.
I would like to address Mr. Vukovic's.
Can we get the microphone up on Ms. Wozniak, please? It's just not loud.
Hello? Can you hear me?
No.
It's off.
Can you use Ms. Leguizamo?
So Mr. Vukovic had addressed the fact that in the payees it said employee vendor for several items, and it was an inadvertent mistake by the accounting department in that they have sent it to the board members, the updated information. If you looked at the individual checks, it did list the payee, but if you looked at the distribution, the breakdown, it did not have that. But
and we can get the correct one uploaded to board docs, Ms.
If we could,
Pope.
that would be great.
Thank you, and we appreciate
so
that.
It's there.
And that was one of the questions. So board members do go through those. Ms. Wozniak raised that as a question, and the administration did respond. So we appreciate that. If no one objects to items A, B, and C together, I'd like a motion.
I motion.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez.
Second.
Second by Mr. Riddle. And what we will do is you're now going to read all three. So it's a motion to approve. Yep. I'm sorry. I'm throwing Deputy Cesario. I'm like, yeah, but you got it.
All right. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education ratify the first processing of board bills for June 2022 and manual check request payments and First Midwest insurance payments for the period of May 18th, 2022 through June 7, 2022. The accounts payable board, May 18th, 2022 through June 7th, 2022, payments total $6,248,043.10. The manual check request payments for the period of May 18, 2022 through June 7, 2022 total $1,903,976.76. The First Midwest insurance payments for the period of May 18, 2022 through June 7, 2022 total $0. It is also the recommendation of administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to sign the Memorandum of Understanding, CPS overpayment for FY 2022, between the Board of Education and the Waukegan Paraprofessionals Council, valued at approximately $204,265. The board is to contribute 73%, $149,113.41, and the union is to contribute 27%, $55,151.54.
All right.
Well, Board President, I don't think he read Part A yet. Ratification of.
Did I skip one?
Yeah, you skipped one, the first one.
Can I ask about that one?
I read that one.
You did. You did.
Read June. He read June.
I believe I did read that one, Joe.
You did.
Sorry.
Did he? Okay. Did he read it?
It's two that say the same
One,
thing.
two,
One,
three.
he read June.
read all
and he
three.
I'll read it. I'll read it.
Yeah, but he didn't read.
Can I ask
Yeah,
a question
yeah.
about A? There's no attachments there.
You might want to read it again.
Yeah, just read the first one.
Sure. Wait, the first one or the second one?
No, the second B you read.
16A.
A you didn't. As far as I watched, did anybody else see that?
Yes, but there's no
You'll read it.
attachment.
You gonna read
There's
it.
no
You're right, because
attachments
he
on
didn't
A.
mention April.
He didn't mention April.
Okay.
So were you not
Will
able
do.
to review, or
So
do
we
we have
can't.
questions?
So we can't vote on it, can we?
So I'll read one more.
One sec. So
Gwen.
we already motioned to approve all three items. So
Do we rescind it?
You can do A,
He
B, and C.
read all.
again, Ms. Wozniak
Because
is
there's
raising
no
a separate
attachment
question
for-
that there wasn't an attachment for
Okay,
A.
there's two.
I got it. I
Did
got
we
it.
see those at some other time?
The recommended action.
Go ahead and read the recommendation, Mr. Clerk.
Okay.
I mean, Mr. Cesario.
Sure.
Dr. Cesario.
It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Education ratify the first processing of board bills for May 2022 and manual check request payments and First Midwest insurance payments for the period of April 20, 2022 through May 3rd, 2022. The accounts payable board April 20, 2022 through May 3rd, 2022 payments total $1,757,286.67. The manual check request payments for the period of April 20, 2022 through May 3rd, 2022 total $1,116,368.04. The First Midwest insurance payments for the period of April 20, 2022 through May 3rd, 2022 total $0.
And so we had a motion and we had a second. There's a question. So the question is there is no public attachment. So while the board could access the document, I guess the public has not been able to see.
There's none for us either.
For A, right?
For A.
For A,
For
right.
A, it's not there.
There's no attachment.
So, Mr. President, as I'm conferring with Ms. Polk here, I see that item 16A, as it's written, was actually approved at the May 10th, 2022 Board of Education meeting. I do not see an approval tree on that item, so it is possible. We believe that that has already been approved, and we'll need to investigate how that got on this agenda.
So what we want to do is remove the motion, and then we like a new motion to approve items B and C.
I remove my second. Can I second
Yes.
it?
I said, or
You moved.
I moved, so I will unmove
And
or
I'll
what?
second it. You move to amend it to just B and C.
I move to amend it for items B and C.
16.
Motion to approve items B and C as read,
And I'll second that.
and then a second by, so the first was Ms. Gonzalez to approve items B and C as read.
Right.
Second is to approve, second comes from Mr. Riddle to approve items B and C as read. And if we can have a roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. And I'm going to read those, well, I guess we read them when we approved them. So now we're at reports. I'm going to ask Mr. Riddle if you can walk us through just items, the committee reports, delegate reports, and superintendent's reports, and I will be right back.
Okay. I can do it from here, actually.
Sure
right?
you can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you want
sure.
to get in there.
Riddle.
Keen on to see.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at 17A committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Anyone? Ms. Hannah? No? Ms. Gonzalez?
Well, our equity policy review is going to come up in item D, so I won't say anything.
Okay, all right. So no committee reports. Delegates reports. Ms. Hannah, do we have any delegates reports?
Yes, one. I have been asked by the early child literacy act consortium of the state of Illinois. I have been asked to be on that committee for literacy, and all of that came by way of our resolution that was submitted to the state.
Yes.
And they want to work with us to resubmit our resolution. And also they're trying to get a statewide campaign, and I'll have more information because we're going to have another meeting in July, and it should be coming to the board, the invitation. But we are very, very serious about the literacy of our of our children.
Is that with the phonics program that you're speaking about, Ms. Hannah?
Huh?
The phonics proposal?
Yes, and the lady that that contacted me, she also her school district submitted a resolution, and it wasn't our resolution, but it was so close that the state looked at both of ours in combination, and they, goodness, I know that's awful. Anyway, the school district 197 was the school district that submitted the resolution for the teacher portion of the phonics, and their resolution was taken by the state, and our resolution, it was turned down because phonics already appears in the Common Core standards.
Okay.
And so even though it's in the Common Core standards, this literacy group, we want more teeth in it, because at this point it is it's kind of the determinant is the administration in the schools if it's going to get done. And we don't want that. We want it where the phonics has to be, because it's been scientifically proven that that phonemic awareness is better than the whole language approach.
Right.
And that's what we are campaigning and advocating for.
So, Ms. Hannah, if I understand you correctly, our resolution is going to be
they're going to work on our
phonics as a requirement in the university's training, and not just as a recommendation.
Right. That's what their resolution was.
Okay.
And believe it or not, we were in a meeting this past week, and they were explaining how the universities are kind of pushing back because of the I guess the magnitude of what has to happen at the collegiate level in the teaching colleges. To teach teachers how, and it was really interesting, and even through when I was doing my research on this, and with the colleges, they moved away from teaching teachers phonics, the phonic program, and they're not teaching teachers how to teach reading.
Right. So if I understand you correctly, just let me summarize. I think I've got you. So you've been asked to be on a committee with another
for
district,
literacy.
Yes, for District 197 is going to work with you to resubmit the resolution that we tried to get through as a resolution at the IASB III conference last year. So it may be accepted this year, and you're working on that with another school district.
I'm working on it with a committee.
Yes.
Of people, and they're not all from District 197.
Okay.
Actually, they're from all over the state.
All right.
And we're going to have, I don't know,
You're
there
gonna-
should be something coming to Mr. Ewing.
Okay. But you're working
before-
on a draft resolution, right, for the III conference in November?
Yeah, and
Okay.
so I'll see where it goes,
Great.
because that was really some harrowing task, you
Right,
know,
right.
and even though I love researching,
Right.
but it did take a lot of time.
Okay. And you can report back to us maybe
Oh,
how
absolutely.
that works.
And what it is there were individuals who saw the same thing that Ms. Hannah said and that the board supported. And
Right.
so although those resolutions didn't pass, they didn't drop it, and what they've done
Right.
is they consolidated efforts. It's
Right.
because you had, I think it was up to 4, wasn't it, Ms. Hannah, different phonics resolutions that went forward last year. Only one moved forward, but they went back to those districts that had brought it, and
Okay.
it's trying to get them to work together on
Well,
one
well,
resolution.
not so. Well, this is an independent effort with the literacy, because that's what it is now. It is. I'm working with the child literacy, the state,
Yes.
Illinois state child literacy.
Okay, so this is separate from,
Yeah.
because I know there was some other districts that also, which is what Mr. Riddle was asking, from a resolution perspective.
Yes, and we are going to look at. They're helping me to put in, I guess, things that that could have caused the state to get it, but what I got out of it was because it's already in the Common Core standards, and we just want teeth in it, so that the districts that they shall do phonics, not that they may do phonics. They shall. And when it says shall, it's a must.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah.
Thank you.
All right, next up, superintendent's report. Dr. Cesario?
Yes.
Sure. Just a brief overview of our summer programming. The start date for that was on June 6th, and our current enrollment is 3,316 students, and that is across elementary, middle, and high school.
And I'm sorry, just if we can kind of, no sidebar conversations because it picks up on the microphone. And then was there a PowerPoint slide? No? No problem. Go ahead, Deputy
Okay.
Cesario.
Yeah. So we can send information too, but just again a brief overview. Again, the start date was June 6th. Currently, we have 3,316 students enrolled. That's across our elementary, middle, and high school. And those sites. You'll see that not every school is hosting, and part of that is due to some capital improvement work that's happening. Right now, we're having some really great community-based field trips. So it's off to a really great start, and want to thank the teaching and learning team, transportation. It was a really collaborative effort across both divisions, and thank our site-based administrators and our teachers that volunteered, and paras who volunteered their time in the summer. Yes, they're getting paid, but it is also a commitment of time. So I want to thank those folks too. So thank you.
And can I just ask one question in reference to summer school and the temperature, the heat? Are we still adhering to the heat standards for if it's too hot? If the temperature gets too hot, are we going to continue to continue to hold the summer school? But then I guess maybe
they're all in air-conditioned
that's what
rooms.
I was getting ready to say.
We use our best discretion when doing anything outdoors. So they
Right.
visited. One of the community field trips was to a splash pad. If there was inclement weather regarding heat, we would use that discretion and not bring them to an
Right.
outdoor place. But since we've had air conditioning, that's one of the things that really helps us out.
Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of totally.
No, it's a great question though. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, Deputy Cesario. Next up, item 17D relates to some different policies. We're going to approach those the same. I am going to say, if I don't get any recommendations or questions or changes, then I'm bringing it for a second vote at our meeting in June, and all 4 of them. So this is my notice that if you have something, get it in by next Tuesday, which is a committee and meeting. And that actually, I'll give you to Tuesday. And if not, if there are no changes, no recommended changes, then what we're going to do is bring it for a vote at our second board meeting in June. We do still, I hope to work with Mr. Alajakis to find a date to host our workshop, but Ms. Vanderbroek has been out, superintendent, other individuals, so summertime is hard to schedule, but we want it to happen in June so that we can get it in place for next school year. Next item, 18A, is just a 4-year report, so that's there for information. Are there any legal reports, Mr. Clary?
No legal reports at this moment.
All right, Board of Education. I told my wife we'd be done at 9. It's 9:07. We haven't been able to get to board member time in our previous meetings because of how long they've gone. So just remember, what separates us from getting out of here is each one of you. So I'm going to start off with Ms. Gonzalez.
Okay. Well, I won't say too much, but I was so impressed with the presentations that we saw earlier today. I am always in awe of what our students are capable of, and every single one of our students has something special that they can offer and contribute to the world, so I just love that being highlighted. I also, it's been such a long time. I was really happy that I got to spend time with some of our teachers and students at Pride Fest. June is Pride Month, so I was really happy and excited to see a lot of not only Waukegan students and alumni, but also our neighbors, Gurney students and alumni who came out to Waukegan for Pride Fest and showed off who they really were and embraced themselves. I hope that we can keep that going to build our community up.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle.
I would only say that it seems so long ago that we talked. We went around and saw the civics presentations, but I was pleased. A lot of the students I spoke with there, I asked them to come to the board meeting if they felt strongly about the project that they had done, and if they wanted to see that project move forward further. And I was pleased to see Lindsay and Jennifer tonight at the encouragement of our board member Joanna to come forward. And I'd spent some time talking to those 2 individuals among others. So I was pleased that it takes some courage to come up in front of a board meeting and speak to, in a public setting like this. So I was glad to do that. As Ms. Gonzalez said, our students are our future leaders. They are the ones that will be taking over for us, and it's good to see that they are learning and also learning to be leaders. So with that, I will pass it over to our next board member.
Pass, Brandon.
You can pass.
Ms. Hannah.
I just want to again congratulate all of our athletes that were here tonight. Congratulations to the coaches. And so that's that. I also would like us to find out, Mr. President, what minutes up to this point that we have not approved, and we need to get that done so that we don't get in trouble with the PAC. Okay. And also, I love the presentation that the student board member had her student peers bring to us about study hall, and also kudos to Mr. Carr and his team over there at Hyde Park, and the good job that they're doing transforming the lives of students by teaching them good social skills, because that's basically what it is. And lastly, I will not take lightly the comments that were made in reference to our superintendent by some community members, because I did see a video that was sent to me. Unfortunately, the audio was very, very, very low, so I could not attest to what was being said or anything. But I just think that it merits a discussion among the board members regarding the interaction with the superintendent and the public. Other than that, I think that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Ms. Wozniak?
I wanted to remind everybody that the Waukegan Independence Parade is on July 3rd, Sunday. Can you hear either of these? This one? Okay. Is on July 3rd, Sunday at 1 o'clock, and the school district will be outside handing out hot dogs and water for those marching by.
No, we're not going to be in it.
We haven't been in it forever.
We need to be in it.
Then organize it. We're handing out hot dogs and water on the front lawn. Be there.
Yeah, look, I like walking in the parade.
I think if we have kids that are walking and you want to walk with them, Miss Hannah, you go on out there.
Absolutely. That's the best time. The best thing.
Gonzalo's going to walk with you.
I'll walk with you.
Yeah.
I think I will double check, but I actually think ROTC might be in it.
Yeah, they usually are in our band.
And
Yeah.
the band? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So any board members that want to walk, y'all.
Right, but we got our Nicholas. Come on. I know, but he's the one that helps us arrange if we're gonna be in the parades and stuff like that.
Yeah, we haven't because we've done the hot dog thing for the last few years, so that has been our contribution to the 4th of July parade. But
I'd
if any
rather
board
be
members,
with the food.
However,
the administrators walk.
Right.
Right.
Nick is usually on the grill. That's what I say. People working.
We all. It's okay. I'm just saying. Look, I like. I would like us to be included.
Got it.
In the competition, for us to make up us a float. Yeah, but I'm just Josh. So we can go.
Anything else, Ms. Wozniak?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, I will. I forgot to mention during my president's report, 2 very brief things. One is last week the state's attorney invited me and the superintendent out for the Office of Violence Prevention launch, which will be run out of his office. We heard about the increase in violent crimes here in our community. As the largest high school district in the county seat, we will have an active role in violence prevention efforts in Waukegan. And so, again, I'll be keeping individuals abreast. I know there was conversations as I was invited to attend. That's why I showed up. I didn't know who else was invited. It wasn't some closed door thing. But that is what I did. I also had a meeting with State's Attorney Reinhardt and individuals from his office today in order to brief him on the wraparound center, what we're trying to do. And so those are things that I'm working on actively, along with how to provide mental health resources and support to our students from a community perspective. Again, I'm working. I'm busy. I apologize if I don't always answer, but I will always get back to you. With that, I would like...
Wait, can I say one thing? I'm sorry. One thing.
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
I would just like all of us to remember
Patricia Jones. Her mother passed away, and so just remember her in our thoughts and our prayers. And the services will be not this Saturday, next Saturday at Shiloh Church on Sheraton Road, and I'm sure that the exact time and date. Well, no, that is the date and the place. I just can't say the time, but I'm sure it will be coming across the president's desk, so we'll get some clarification on that.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hannah, and our condolences to the family. With that, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. McBride. The second was Ms. Wozniak. All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.